Law is what the lawyers make it. It is by no means an accident that the founding fathers and architects of most countries are lawyers by profession. And what better day to honor our promising lawyers for the year 2021 than the 75th Foundation Day of the High Court of Orissa? Namaskar, good evening. We've gathered here today at the Justice Gatikrishna Mishra Auditorium of the Odisha Judicial Academy for the celebration of the commencement of the 75th year of the High Court of Orissa and conferment of the Lawyer of the Year Awards 2021 in the gracious presence of Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar, Honorable the Chief Justice, High Court of Orissa, and all the Honorable Judges of High Court of Orissa, along with the esteemed Advocate General, Orissa, President, Federation of All Orissa Bar Association, respected Shri Gopal Subramanium, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of India, who has kindly consented to join us through virtual mode. May I now request Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar, the Honorable Chief Justice, High Court of Orissa, to kindly adorn the dais, and I request the esteemed Registrar General, Shri Chittaranjan Das, to kindly conduct his lordship to the dais. Thank you. May I request Honorable Shri Justice Bishwajit Mahanti, Judge, High Court of Orissa, to kindly adorn the dais. And I also request the esteemed Registrar Administration, Dr. Bhagyalakshmi Rath, to kindly conduct his lordship to the dais. Thank you. May I now request Honorable Shri Justice Krishna Ram Mahapatra, Judge, High Court of Orissa, to kindly adorn the dais, and I request the esteemed Registrar Vigilance, Shri Akhil Kumar Paschimakabat, to kindly escort his lordship to the dais. Thank you. May I now request Honorable Shri Justice Sashikanta Mishra, Judge, High Court of Orissa, to kindly adorn the dais, and I also request the esteemed Registrar Judicial, Shri Suman Kumar Mishra, to kindly conduct his lordship to the dais. Thank you. May I now request Shri Ashok Kumar Parija, the esteemed Advocate General, Odisha, to kindly adorn the dais, and I also request the esteemed Registrar Inspection, Shri Prabhakar Ghantia, to kindly conduct our guest to the dais. Thank you. I now request Shri Nirmal Kishore Rath, President, Federation of All Orissa Bar Association, to kindly adorn the dais, and I request the esteemed Registrar Records, Shri Abhilash Sanapati, to kindly conduct our guest to the dais. Thank you. I now seek the permission of the esteemed chair so as to declare this event as open. The event is declared open. As a mark of our heartfelt gratitude, we would like to present flower bouquets to our honored dignitaries on the dais. I request Ms. Sunita Patnaik, Additional CJM Cuttack, to kindly present the flower bouquet to Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar, the Honorable Chief Justice, High Court of Orissa. I now request Ms. Susama Swai, Senior Civil Judge, First Court, Cuttack, to kindly present the flower bouquet to Honorable Shri Justice Bishwajit Mahanti, Judge, High Court of Orissa. I request Ms. Gitanjali Nanda, Senior Civil Judge, Second Court, Cuttack, to kindly present the flower bouquet to Honorable Shri Justice Krishna Ram Mahapatra, Judge, High Court of Orissa. I request Ms. Swarnalata Nayak, First Additional Senior Civil Judge, Cuttack, to kindly present the flower bouquet to Honorable Shri Justice Sashikant Mishra, Judge, High Court of Orissa. I I request Ms. Sashwati Mishra, 4th Additional Senior Civil Judge, Cuttack, to kindly present the flower bouquet to Shri Ashok Kumar Parija, the esteemed Advocate General, Odisha. I request Ms. Sheetal Barsha, Civil Judge, First Court, Cuttack, to kindly present the flower bouquet to Shri Nirmal Kishore Rath, President, Federation of All Orissa Bar Association. Thank you. Beginning with the program, may I request Honorable Shri Justice Bishwajit Mahanti, Judge, High Court of Orissa, and Chairman, Committee for the Promising Lawyer of the Year Award, to kindly present the welcome address in this August gathering. Your Lordship.
Good evening, everybody. Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar, our Chief Justice, my esteemed brothers and sisters on the bench, Shri Gopal Subramanium, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of India, Shri Ashok Kumar Parija, Advocate General, Odisha, Shri Nirmal Das, Ratha, President of Federation of All Orissa Bar Association, learned members of the bar, officers of registry, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great delight that I welcome all of you today to this momentous and unique occasion when we begin this special tradition of recognizing and acknowledging young talents in the bar across the state. We all know how important it is to have a robust bar in order to have an able bench and a properly functional justice delivery system. After all, the bar is the chief resource of the bench. Who knows? Among the talented lawyers whom we shall award today, one or more may become part of the bench tomorrow. There is a lot that bench learns every day from the bar. In fact, it is the performance of the advocates that shapes the decision-making process for judges. Therefore, today's event is truly a cherished event for all of us in the High Court because what we are about to begin today ultimately aims to foster excellence in legal practice across the state. When the young lawyers across the state get recognized for their contribution and performance, we hope and trust that it will motivate other young lawyers. Ultimately, all this will augur well for the judicial system. To the young lawyers attending the event today and to their peers all around the state, I would like to say this. Law is that omnipresent thread that runs throughout the whole social setup. It is the reason for social sanity. In fact, it is the very cause why any society, any nation will not descend into anarchy. And by having chosen the legal profession, all of you have chosen to undertake responsibility for guarding precious humanity and our society from tyranny and oppression. In your hands rests the key to survival of the secret ideals of our democracy, the cherished freedom of humanity, and golden rights of the weak and the underprivileged as envisioned by the founding fathers of our great country. You are the ones who hold the power to uphold our constitution and the rule of law. Now, while these may sound like ornamental words for the common man, but for you, all these form part of routine performance. You are social engineers, since you will be armed with information and knowledge of laws, regulations, and processes, the vital ingredients that constitute the administration of justice. This puts you in a distinctively advantageous position over your neighbors and your peers. You must use this advantage to do something for the greater good of your fellow men and women. Please remember that advocacy is not only about the arguments and pleadings. An advocate is much more. A lawyer represents a character, an ideal. In fact, it is this character which determines the way he navigates his ways in the profession. Where does this character come from? In my humble opinion, it comes from discipline, rigorous alignment to time-tested ideals that forge the fate of nations, societies, and institutions. As young lawyers, it is important for all of you to remember and practice this as you practice law. This will help you to leave behind a path of inspiration and guidance for your peers. In your twilight years, when you look back, you should be able to feel that you have added value to the institution and that you have been able to make the younger men and women who looked at you for guidance true guardians of justice. What we are trying to recognize today by giving out this award is meant to inculcate a spirit of growth amongst young lawyers and to instill in them the aspiration to find their true depths as stakeholders of justice. We expect that the learned members of the bar across the state will reciprocate wholeheartedly and take the message forward with the commitment and sincerity so that every year the benchmark of excellence rises higher and higher. And ultimately, one day the whole country can look at us as a positive example. Lastly, I would like to say that my faith rests in every young advocate who will be awarded this evening, that each of them will bring about marvelous change in the system of delivery of justice, and that they will do it with honor while ensuring equal opportunity and dignity for all. You are all armed with law. Use your legal ammunition wisely for the good of mankind. I wish you all the very best. Once again, on behalf of everyone in High Court of Orissa, I heartily welcome all distinguished guests to today's events. Wishing you all a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Lordship, for the warm and heartfelt welcome extended to our distinguished and honored participants and guests of the evening. May I now request Shri Nirmal Kishore Rath, President, Federation of All Orissa Bar Association, to address this gathering.
Revered Honorable Justice, Honorable Chief Justice of Odisha, Honorable Justice Shri B. Mahanti, Member of the Committee of the Promising Lawyers Award, Honorable Justice K.R. Mahapatra, Member Committee of the Promising Lawyers Award, all other Honorable Judges of the Odisha High Court who are present in this function, Honorable Judges of the Odisha High Court who are also participating in this function through video conferencing mode, respected Shri Gopal Subramanium, ex-Solicitor General of India and Senior Advocate Supreme Court of India, respected Advocate General of Orissa, Shri Ashok Parija, respected all judicial officers of the Odisha High Court, respected all advocates of the Odisha High Court who are present here, also participating in this function, and my friends. I am very much delighted to get an opportunity to attend this August function of the 75th Foundation Day of Odisha High Court. Sir, it is known to all of us that on 26 July is being observed as the Foundation Day of the Odisha High Court. All our judicial courts were under the Patna High Court, and only on 26th July 1938, our High Court Bar Association passed a resolution for a separate High Court of Odisha. Subsequently, our Legislative Assembly also passed a resolution in 1939, and finally in 1948, the Government of India consented to such proposal and issued the Odisha High Court Order of 1948 under Section 229(1) of the Government of India Act 1935. Finally, the Odisha High Court was established on 26 July 1948. It is noteworthy that our first Honorable Chief Justice of Odisha, Birokeshwar Rai, also died on this day. So today is also the death anniversary of the great soul. Sir, I am glad to know that a program of awarding promising lawyers of the state has been launched on this happy occasion, which is a brainchild of our Honorable Chief Justice. And indeed, such a program is a first of its kind in the state. Really, I am extremely thankful to the Honorable Chief Justice who has conceived such a novel idea of awarding the really promising lawyers of the state as a mark of recognition of their service to the society in general and to the litigants in particular. It is to mention here that Honorable Chief Justice of Odisha, during a very short period of assuming his office, has taken some laudable steps like introduction of the e-filing system in different courts of the state, and opening of e-library system in all the district headquarters of the state, which provide ample scope and opportunity to younger generation of the advocates to acquaint themselves with all the latest judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court as well as the Honorable High Courts of the country. I would like to mention here that prior to these two important facilities being made available to the advocates of the state, Honorable Chief Justice also decided to improve the infrastructures of the all district courts, and in order to fulfill his objective, His Highness has taken much pain to visit all the district headquarters of the state to ascertain the actual state of affairs and took prompt action for development of the necessary infrastructures of the courts and its better functioning. For this reason, the construction work, the judicial courts, accommodation of the lawyers, as well as to the litigant public, everything is going on speedily throughout the state. Particularly, the construction work of the court building of district headquarters are progressing at such a speed that we are hopeful that in near future, almost all district headquarter courts will get new building for its functioning. Sorry. So it may kindly be recalled that on the celebration day of the Lawyers Day of this year, I had drawn the kind attention of the Honorable Chief Justice to consider for providing minimum infrastructure facilities to the advocates who are practicing in different subordinate courts of the state, which is a basic requirement for them. Sir, citizen of this country has a birthright to get proper and speedy justice, and for this purpose, a circuit court of Patna High Court became a full-time High Court at Cuttack. Subsequently, the strength of the judges of the Odisha High Court continued to increase to cope up with the rising trend of cases coming to the High Court for being decided. Likewise, the volume of cases in subordinate courts is increasing day by day. At this juncture, it is first and foremost duty of the judicial officers as well as the advocates to work in a team spirit for quick disposal of the cases by which the litigants will hope to get proper and speedy justice. So at this point, the role of an advocate is very much important because the litigants heavily depend upon the efficiency and caliber of his advocate. So I request all the advocates of the state to keep in mind that advocates should always remain fully committed to his job and discharge his responsibility towards his client meticulously and diligently. Sir, it is seen that more and more numbers of new entrants are coming to this profession having brilliant academic career. So to help improve their knowledge and expertise, our Honorable Chief Justice has already taken necessary steps in that direction. The present program of awarding promising lawyers of the state for the year 2021 is a landmark event in the judicial history of the state. I would like to say that this will no doubt greatly encourage the young advocates to provide their real worth and expertise in their legal profession in order to be eligible to be considered for conferment of such prestigious award. I think from next year onwards, it will be a difficult task on the part of the Honorable High Court to select the names of the deserving candidates for such award, as there will be keen contest among the young lawyers to achieve this prestigious award. I express my heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Chief Justice of Odisha for his innumerable contribution for the larger benefit of the advocates community of the state. Thank you all. Bande Utkala Janani. Jai Jagannath.
Honorable the Chief Justice, Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar, Honorable Justice Biswajit Mahanti, Honorable Justice K.R. Mahapatra, Honorable Justice Sasikanta Misra, Honorable Justices of our High Court sitting of the dais, Shri Gopal Subramanium, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of India, the learned Registrar General and members of the registry, learned district judges and other judicial officers present, Shri Nirmal Kishore Ratna 48, which also coincides with the 75th year of independence of India. In fact, one can say the establishment of the High Court at Cuttack was an extension of the movement led by late Dr. Madhusudan Das, an eminent lawyer, for recognition, autonomy, and self-determination for Odia people, and indeed marks a momentous milestone in our continual efforts to establish and promote a distinctive Odia identity and culture. On July 26, 1938, the High Court Bar Association adopted a resolution demanding a separate High Court for the state of Orissa, and at that point of time was under the jurisdiction of the Patna High Court. The said efforts culminated on July 26, 1948, when our High Court was inaugurated by Justice H.A. Kania, the then Chief Justice of Federal Court of India, and with Justice Birokisar Rai as the Chief Justice, and Justice B. Jagannath Das, Justice L. Panigrahi, Justice L. Narasimhan as puny judges. Since then, Odisha High Court has had the distinction of being the parent High Court for three different Chief Justices of India: Honorable Justice Ranganath Mishra, Honorable Justice G.B. Patnaik, and recently Honorable Justice Deepak Mishra. It is notable to mention that Justice R.C. Patnaik, Justice D.P. Mahapatra, Justice Arijit Pasad, Justice A.K. Patnaik also served the Supreme Court with great distinction. Needless to mention, several outstanding judges in this High Court served this institution with distinction as well. We were also privileged to have doyens such as Shri Gangadhar Ratha, Barrister Ranjit Mahanti, Govindas, Shri Pravir Palit, Shri Ramakant Mahapatra, Shri Brain Patnaik, Shri Vijay Krishna Mahanti, Shri Bipin Bihar Ratha, who graced the bar and curated a path for young lawyers. Their patience, knowledge, and sense of justice continues to guide us to this date. In a recent event, the Honorable Chief Justice spoke about the values embodied by senior lawyers that gain them the respect of the legal fraternity and makes them legends. Young lawyers present here would do well to sit in courtrooms and learn observing senior counsels and the honorable judges in court. To me, the court is the best classroom for a young lawyer. This court has been the genesis of multiplicity of judgments and to have massively changed the jurisprudence of law. To illustrate, in the celebrated judgment of Dr. Binapani Devi versus State of Orissa, this court for the first time laid down the principles of natural justice are attracted to administrative decisions even when they result in civil consequences. Nandini Satpathy versus P.L. Dani, which elucidated on the right to remain silent and the right of self-incrimination, started off at this court. My Lord, celebration and Foundation Day allow us not only to reflect upon the growth and journey of an institution, but also contemplate on the path ahead and pave a vision for the years to come. As we are all aware, our Honorable Chief Justice assumed office on 4th of January 2021. The pandemic was at its peak. Justice delivery system was almost paralyzed. But cometh the hour, cometh the man. And to our good fortune, we had Honorable Chief Justice to navigate us through these times of crisis. Chief Justice Dr. S. Muralidhar has overseen a technological revolution in the functioning of judiciary in Odisha. His tireless efforts towards digitizing the very manner in which we function will have innumerable positive effects in the years to come. He has personally traveled to every single district of the state and has tried to incorporate changes to strengthen the judicial infrastructure at the very grassroots, including but not limited to digitization of case records and archives, virtual hearing facilities, including vulnerable witness dispositions, filling up of long pending vacancies. In fact, we already have 11 judges after his lordships have assumed office, and another 3 are coming. And staff in making the e-court system functioning a reality, completely revamping the much-needed court infrastructure and housing for court staff. His work and vision is not limited to our judicial system, but also covers jail reforms and vulnerable classes of our society. Chief Justice Dr. S. Muralidhar has been a friend of the bar. Not only is he alive to the problems of the lawyers after spending many years at the bar at Chennai, Delhi, as well as Supreme Court, but he has also hands-on approach in everything. Under his guidance and supervision, the lawyers, not only of the High Court, but across the state, have been given a host of infrastructure facilities to discharge their functions efficiently and effectively to the court and to their client. I'm grateful to the Honorable Chief Justice, who is the head of our family, for his leadership, vision, dynamism in bringing forth a wholesome transformation to the Odisha judicial and legal fraternity. Sometimes in our myopic vision, we tend to focus only on the events of the High Court and forget the hugely important role that lawyers play in every single district of the state. I want to congratulate every single member of the Bar Association of different districts who are working tirelessly to fulfill the cause of justice and seek their continuous support in this regard. I also congratulate all the recipients of the awards which will boost their morale in a big way in years to come. Today, we are enjoying the trust, legitimacy, and respect of the people only because for decades the bar and bench has been working tirelessly to ensure that people get justice. It is imperative that we continue with values and practices that has defined this institution for decades. The biggest challenge before this court today is the sheer volume of cases that are coming before it every single day. This increase in the number of cases being filed is a result of litigants having better access to justice and increasing awareness of the citizens about their rights. Pendency of cases, however, has been a cause of concern. In my view, the role of the Honorable Court must be to adjudicate and render justice. Approaching a case with the idea of disposing it off to reduce pendency creates more litigation in the long run. The metric has to be the holistic analysis of how issues pending before this court are getting resolved through adjudication in the form of judgments, leaving no ambiguity in the law or its interpretation. It is true that more cases are being filed than is reasonably practical to be adjudicated upon. Judges are overworked, no question. In my view, the solution lies in infrastructural changes. The facilities available to subordinate courts need to be increased manifold. The sanction strength of honorable courts need to relook. It is imperative that workload of each judge be reduced so that they have time to consider and adjudicate upon issues before them. However, as I see this crowd comprising members of the bar and the bench across the state, I am filled with optimism that the future of our legal fraternity is in safe hands, and together we will scale new heights, not as an institution, but as human beings dedicated to the cause of society and humanity itself. Lastly, I would like to say a few words to welcome Mr. Gopal Subramanium, former Solicitor General of India, former Chairman of the Bar Council of India, and a distinguished junior counsel, whom I've had the privilege of having as a friend and a mentor for many decades now. Those who have had the good fortune of seeing Mr. Subramaniam in court not only have wowed by his legal brilliance and captivating oratory, but also floored by his impeccable politeness, fairness, and deference to the bench, something for young lawyers to inculcate. I would like to thank him for gracing this occasion with his presence today. Thank you for hearing patiently.
Thank you, sir, for sharing the rich legal history of the High Court of Orissa and for your kind words of appreciation. It is an honor to request Revered Shri Gopal Subramaniam, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of India, who has kindly consented to join us in virtual mode to kindly address the gathering and deliver the keynote address. Sir, please.
Honorable Chief Justice, Dr. Justice Muralidhar, distinguished judges of the Odisha High Court, Mr. Ashok Parija, the Learned Advocate General for the state of Odisha, distinguished members in the audience, and my fellow travelers in the profession. It is an honor to be here among all of you to celebrate the conferment of the Lawyer of the Year Award on an August occasion, namely the Foundation Day of the Odisha High Court. I would like to open by emphasizing the importance of trials in our legal system. We must bear in mind that in our constitutional guarantees, access to the rule of law is one of the strongest guarantees. And this access to the rule of law can be actualized in the first instance in the trial courts. Even though we don't have a formal Sixth Amendment clause like the American Constitution, but by rich pronouncements and with great visionary leadership by judges, we today acknowledge that the rule of law is vital to our system, and the administration of justice is undertaken through an adversarial system. I also hope to convey something of the centrality and indispensable nature of the advocate's work in maintaining our system of administration of justice, in striving towards the ideals upon which our Constitution rests: truth, equality, and justice for all. Under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, to which India is a party, all persons have a right to justice, to access the courts for determination of any dispute, and to a fair trial in criminal cases. Article 10 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights clearly provides that everyone is entitled in full equality to a fair and public hearing by an independent and impartial tribunal in the determination of his rights and obligations and of any criminal charge against him. In the conception of the UN Human Rights Committee, fair trial is a key element of human rights protection and serves as a procedural means to safeguard the rule of law. The committee was also of the view that Article 14 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which puts the UDHR's guarantee into effect and is the rough equivalent of our Constitution's Articles 20 and 21, is a provision of critical and universal importance to the rule of law. It says that Article 14 contains guarantees that states, parties must respect regardless of their legal traditions and their domestic law. These ideals of open public trial are the staples of every common law legal system, including our own. In India, the bulwark of these protections is to be found in our Constitution, which codifies the rule of law and guarantees every citizen a free and fair trial by virtues of the numerous rights assured to us by Articles 14, 19, 20, and 21. The guarantee of liberty and of the right to life is supported by express limitations on the state's powers and has very deep roots in our common law. In fact, ever since its original articulation in 1215, this protection has seen real resistance from kings and constitutional governments alike. As Justice Nariman put it prettily, this article has its origin in nothing less than the Magna Carta, the 39th article of 1215 vintage, which King John of England was forced to sign by his barons. It is a little known fact that this original Charter of Liberty was faltered at the very start and did not get off the ground because of a papal bull issued by Pope Innocent of the Tench. Like Magna Carta, Article 21 did not get off the ground for 28 years, after which, unshackled, it has become the single most important fundamental right under the Constitution of India, being described as one of a holy trinity consisting of a golden triangles, which cannot be eclipsed during an emergency. The first custodians of these protections are historically, and in our own times, lawyers who by their daily work at the trial stage make the ideals of truth, justice, and fairness, and the moral and legal equality of every man realizable and attainable. There was a book called The Origins of the Adversary Trial, written by John Langbein, the Sterling Professor Emeritus of Law and Legal History at Yale Law School. And Langbein shows that while most other aspects of the common law trial have roots in the medieval period, it was not until centuries after between 1690s and the 1780s in trials at the Old Bailey in London, that the precedent of lawyers having the central and often decisive role in the conduct of the proceedings came to be established. Chief Justice, I went through the scheme for the present award ceremony with interest. I express my admiration for you and your distinguished colleagues in this High Court. The importance of a lawyer's conduct, etiquette, integrity, and fairness in a trial cannot be overstated. It is an essential requirement without which the pursuit of justice is incomplete. Trials are indeed most important, both from the standpoint of prosecution and from the standpoint of defense. And I will have something to say about it a little later. When the ordinary citizen thinks of lawyers and judges, he pictures a trial court. The trial is a staple in courtroom dramas to be found in books, movies, and in television. But in many of these stories, a dedicated and idealistic lawyer is also central as a protagonist. Public confidence in the administration of justice is often determined by the quality of justice rendered at the first stage, namely at the stage of trial. For that, it is necessary that both judges and lawyers who practice in the trial court are robust and independent. After all, the principle of open justice puts on display for the public not only the work of the judicial branch, but also the lawyers who support them in seeking justice. As a consequence of Section 327(1) of the Criminal Procedure Code 1973, the default rule is that criminal trials must be conducted in open court. No wonder Chief Justice Gajendra Gadkar in Mirajkar's case said, and I quote, "It is the quintessential area where lawyers can perform to dispense justice." Trials, of course, involve the examination of a cause, whether it be civil or criminal, before a judge who has jurisdiction over it, according to the laws of the land. But in criminal cases, the emphasis is on fair trial, which means it should be before an impartial judge, a fair prosecutor, and an atmosphere of judicial calm. To this, we can add the requirement of competent and committed legal representation. Trials embody the adversarial process, which characterizes our legal system. Guided by the wisdom and sobriety of judges sitting over proceedings as umpires, disputants in nearly every area of life, ranging from the family, the corporation, and its stakeholders, concerned citizens, and victims of crime, can all seek resolution of their grievances and disputes in open courts led by reason and the rule of law. By the rigorous contest of competing narratives of facts and competing readings of the law, truth will emerge. In approaching and navigating the vast and winding machineries of truth-finding and dispensing justice provided for in every civilized state, lawyers serve as crucial advisors and guides. In fact, there is no substitute for advocacy, and in fact, very little substitute for oral advocacy. In P.N. Ishwaraya, the Supreme Court considered the question whether it was permissible to dispense with oral argument at the stage of review in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court distinguished a review proceeding from an original and trial proceeding. And the Supreme Court said that our legal system could not be conceived of if oral advocacy was done away with. Justice Krishnaiah put the power of spoken dialogue in such felicitous words, and I quote, "The magic of the spoken word, the power of the Socratic process, and the instant clarity of the bar bench dialogue are too precious to be parted with." I now quote what he said about oral advocacy. Justice Krishnaiah said, and I quote, "Oral advocacy is a decisive art in promoting justice. The bench cannot dispense with the bar. In our system, advocacy becomes functional when presented viva voce and is enfeebled if presented in muted print." The right to a lawyer is indeed the essence of fair trial, and the rule of law contemplates and inheres in the very nature of a fair trial. This implies able and affordable legal representation. The Sixth Amendment to the United States expressly assures the right to be properly presented in a court of criminal law. More powerfully, the European Court of Human Rights has been at the forefront and has read the guarantee of fair trial under Article 6 of the Convention to include the idea of equality of arms. In other words, mere representation by a lawyer does not make for a fair trial. A fair trial can be realized only where the lawyer representing a criminal defendant is able to match the zeal and competence of the prosecution. In India, though it was codified as an unenforceable directive, principled by the framers, Article 39A provides for equal justice and free legal aid. Because of progressive interpretations of Article 21, the court has now envisioned access to counsel as a right which is available even before the actual trial commences, when an indigent accused is first produced before a magistrate. Along with competent legal representation, fair trial means timely and expeditious trial. This is underscored by Justice Bhagwati's observation, and I quote, "The state is under a constitutional mandate to ensure speedy trial, and whatever is necessary for this purpose has to be done by the state." Therefore, lawyers who conduct trials play a very important and significant role in the administration of justice. As a constitutional lawyer, I have always stated that the framers of the Constitution in Article 32, Sub-Article 3, contemplated a day of resonant promise. That day of resonant promise was that Parliament could confer the powers of the Supreme Court on courts other than the High Courts. That is the quintessence of Article 32.3. The purpose of mentioning Article 32.3 is that our Constitution framers were fully conscious of the promise which can unfold in trial courts. That is why it is not always an appropriate adjective to use the expression subordinate before the word judiciary to describe the trial court's system. But what is more important is the nature of presentation which is to be undertaken by lawyers in criminal cases in the trial court. And I think that is a matter of some importance. As many of you would know, in many countries, the role of a prosecutor is viewed as an objective role where the prosecutor aids the administration of justice. The prosecutor is not expected to be a conviction oriented prosecutor. His duty is to set out the facts. And there is a decision, one decision in England called Randall versus Green, which was later followed in Labrador versus Green, where the Privy Council drew attention to the fact that the duty of a prosecuting counsel is not to obtain a conviction at all costs, but to act as a minister of justice. In fact, there was an earlier decision of the Supreme Court of Canada in 1954, where Justice Rand of the Canadian Supreme Court in Boucher versus the Queen observed, and I quote, "It cannot be overemphasized that the purpose of a criminal prosecution is not to obtain a conviction. It is to lay before a jury, in our system, the court, what the Crown considers to be credible evidence relevant to what is alleged to be a crime. Counsel have a duty to see that all available legal proof of the facts is presented. It should be done firmly and pressed to its legitimate strength, but it must also be done fairly. The role of prosecutor excludes any notion of winning or losing. His function is a matter of public duty, than which in civil life there can be none charged with greater personal responsibility. It is to be efficiently performed with an ingrained sense of the dignity, the seriousness, and the justness of judicial proceedings. That is not to say that a standard of perfection is expected. In practice, this is no doubt unattainable, but the defendant has an absolute right to a fair trial. If the departure from good practice is so gross or so persistent or so prejudicial as to be irremediable, an appellate court will have no choice but to hold that the trial was unfair and quash the conviction. In fact, in Labrador's case, there are telling passages on the integrity of a trial. The integrity of a trial depends on the representation of a criminal defendant's full case at trial. The intersection between law and poverty has been a passion of Chief Justice Muralidhar. Apart from a deeply engaging academic contribution, he also has appeared on numerous occasions for accused persons, assisting the court, wading through voluminous evidence, and actually chiseling the points in favor of an accused person. The learned Advocate General has also been extremely sensitive throughout his career to the institution of a trial court and the role which is played by lawyers while conducting a trial. In fact, in the world in which we live, trial court is not only the area to flourish as lawyers, but this is the first place where a lawyer, a judge, a litigant all meet. It is a common universe, but in this universe, there is also an adversarial system. In this adversarial system, to work with efficiency and mastery over facts requires a degree of dedication. I have recollected any number of incidents where I learned quickly by observing a lawyer in a trial court. The way in which lawyers in trial court maintain the record is itself most instructive. the way in which they copy decisions relevant to bail, relevant to liberty, relevant to construction of provisions of the Code of Criminal Procedure, and also keep notes of inspection, notes of interview with the accused person carefully as a part of their brief, has been a profoundly rewarding and learning experience. To honor a lawyer who has accomplished himself in the trial court is an identification which richly deserves the utmost gratulations from all of us. It is a signal honor. It is an honor to pay a tribute to lawyers who, in the fundamental stage of administration of justice, actually do their best with commitment, without fear, and in fact, advance the cause of their clients. But the atmosphere for the purpose of enabling the judge to come to the correct conclusion requires a dual contribution: a non-aggressive prosecutor, because very often prosecutors can overwhelm a defense lawyer. Very often prosecutors can even overwhelm a judge. Therefore, in criminal law, the gap between perceptions and proved facts must be centrally alive to our consciousness. That is why the easy route to inference and conclusions based on perceptions is in fact the biggest block and is an antidote to true administration of justice. In order to overcome that, the prosecutor needs to be fair. He must place material calmly and cogently before the court. The defense counsel also has a great duty to have what is called an end of the tunnel vision of the trial. So in a trial, this is the challenge which trial lawyers alone face. Appellate lawyers find it much easier because a trial lawyer must conceive of the progress of the case and its destiny on the map from its initial position till the end. And he has to work through in his mind how will the journey take place from the beginning to the end. Both the beginning and the end are really fundamental to the skills of a trial lawyer. And these skills are unique. They actually envision that the lawyer himself must be used to the facet of completeness. He must be familiar with an organic whole. He must actually interfere. He must interact in his own mind what are called successful outcomes, possible outcomes for which he has to join all the threads together in that process. So to acknowledge a trial lawyer and honoring him, we as institutions, the legal institutions and the legal profession, we are honoring the best in ourselves. But the best in ourselves, and I'm very, very proud to say that he has been acknowledged, he has been sought after today. From now on, because of this visionary step taken by the High Court of Odisha, it is clear that in future, lawyers will understand and will actually navigate to the trial court as the point of commencement of their career. They will accomplish a great deal in those courts. And that is true progress in the legal profession. If I could take the liberty of adding to the wonderful reward, which is by way of books. And it's a wonderful selection to honor a lawyer with books. But since we are in this wonderful academy, the Judicial Academy, I think it is also, it will be a very progressive step if, with the intervention of the Learned Advocate General, the use of technology can be encouraged amongst lawyers in the trial court. And in fact, it can lead to tremendous modification in terms of productivity, in terms of very good outcomes, in terms of fair and impartial trial, and would also enable judicial officers to perform in a splendid manner. These are, of course, modifications which have to be left to the wisdom of the court. But technology is an ally. Technology is what enabled us to survive during the pandemic. And the benefits of technology continue, notwithstanding the recession of the pandemic. The use of this technology by the Chief Justice during the COVID pandemic has been exemplary. But I know that he is extremely familiar with technology. But more importantly, the greatest attribute which the speakers have, those whom you've heard today, is they are great sharers, they're great givers. And it is in giving, ultimately, we receive. That is, I think, the essence of all honest and good living. Lord Chief Justice, Dr. Justice Muralidhar, my distinguished judges of the Odisha High Court, my friend of excellence, nobility, the Learned Advocate General, I wish to thank each one of you as if I'm physically present, bringing to the fore my best and sincere wishes, but more importantly, a prayer that the legal profession must always progress. It must progress for better and better. The word better has no stops. The word better has no end, but it is a direction. And the direction has been chosen by you, Mr. Chief Justice, and this direction must always be followed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable insights on the fundamental aspects of law and legal principles, and for highlighting the role of the legal profession in ensuring a fair and impartial trial. It is now time for us to acknowledge and commemorate the promising lawyers of various districts of Orissa for the year 2021. For the award ceremony, I request Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar, Honorable the Chief Justice, High Court of Orissa, to kindly present the memento, uttariya, certificate, and books to the first group of lawyers who are to be awarded the Promising Lawyer of the Year 2021. In the judgeship of Hon'ble, Shri Sujanakanta Maharana. In the judgeship of Balangir, Shri Devadatta Joshi. In the Judgeship of Baleswar, Shri Rajiv Kumar Pani. In the Judgeship of Bargarh, Shri Apramit Mishra. In the Judgeship of Bodh, Shri Pritam Mishra. From the Judgeship of Ganjam, Miss Sirin Tamanna. Thank you, Your Lordship. May I request Honorable Shri Justice Biswajit Mahanti, Judge, High Court of Orissa, to kindly do the honors for the next group of lawyers. In the Judgeship of Jajpur, Shri Gunamani Panigrahi. In the Judgeship of Kalahandi, Shri Nihar Ranjan Mishra. From the Judgeship of Keonjhar, Shri Sunil Kumar Mahanta. From the Judgeship of Khordha, Miss Rushikulya Samantre. From the Judgeship of Koraput, Shri Ashok Mishra. Thank you, Your Lordship. May I now request Honorable Shri Justice Krishnaram Mahapatra, Judge, High Court of Orissa, to kindly do the honors for the next group of lawyers. From the Judgeship of Malkangiri, Shri Diptiranjan Rath. From the Judgeship of Mayurbhanj, Miss Nibedita Giri. From the Judgeship of Nabarangpur, Shri Santosh Kumar Nayak. From the Judgeship of Nayagarh, Shri Akshay Kumar Parida. From the Judgeship of Nuapada, Shri Gauri Shankar Satpathy. Thank you, Your Lordship. May I now request Honorable Shri Justice Sashikanta Mishra, Judge, High Court of Orissa, to kindly do the honors for the next group of lawyers. In the Judgeship of Puri, Shri Chittaranjan Biswal. In the Judgeship of Raigada, Shri Gangadhar Padhi. From the Judgeship of Sambalpur, Shri Vidyadhar Panda. In the Judgeship of Sonpur, Shri Svetambar Purohit. In the Judgeship of Sundargarh, Miss Alibha Mahapatra. I request Shri Vivekananda Nayak to come on stage again. Thank you, Your Lordship. And a hearty congratulations to all the esteemed awardees of today's function. With profound respect and humble gratitude, I now request Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar, Honorable the Chief Justice, High Court of Orissa, to kindly deliver the inaugural address.
A very warm good evening to everyone. Pranam. My esteemed colleague, Justice Vishwajit Mahanti, Justice K.R. Mahapatra, Justice Sashikant Mishra, Shri Ashok Parija, the Learned Advocate General, Shri Nirmal Ratha, the President of the Federation of Bar Associations, my esteemed colleagues present in the audience, my distinguished and most beloved lawyers, the awardees, the 22 awardees of the first ever Lawyer of the Year Awards of Odisha, the Learned Assistant Solicitor General of India, the Office Bearers of the High Court Bar Association, my dear officers of the registry, led ably by the Registrar General, and all the registrars present, the Director of the Judicial Academy, the Secretary of the Orissa State Legal Services Authority, all the officers who worked tirelessly for this event, the dear lawyers, the members of the media present. It's a very, very happy moment for me. I cannot express how happy I am. I hope Gopal is still there with us, Shri Gopal Subramanium. I'm sorry to call him Gopal because that is how he will always be for me. I'm so happy that you got to listen to such an erudite speech of a person who stood by the highest values of not only life, but the highest legal ethical principles that a lawyer should practice. Gopal has been a role model for many lawyers of my generation and generations that followed. And at a very young age, made a very big mark on the legal scene and was one among the most sought after lawyers when he was just as young as 35 years old, when he got designated by the Supreme Court of India. I had the fortune of being guided, mentored by him for many, many years. Although I did not work in his chambers as such, I learned so much just watching him perform in court and the principles which he espoused. I, of course, had the fortune of assisting him in a large number of cases. I'm saying all this because the young lawyers should know that you've been very fortunate to hear a person who believes in ethics in the legal profession, and he meant every word of what he said today to each of you. This is a very good beginning for the 75th year of the Orissa High Court. This is a very great institution. It has grown by leaps and bounds. It has produced some of the finest in the legal profession, some of the finest among judges, judges who've gone on to adorn the Supreme Court bench, judges who've gone on to become Chief Justices of India. This is indeed a truly great institution. It has been nurtured by several noble souls, several brilliant legal minds. And today we have reaffirmed that this institution will continue to grow, that it will be guided by many eminent legal minds, many of whom are present in this audience. But most of all, and that is what gives us the greatest joy, definitely by 22 young, brilliant legal minds whom we've honored today. I want you all to join me in giving them a very, very big hand for their achievement. As Mr. Subramanium rightly said, in honoring them, we're actually honoring ourselves. We're honoring the best amongst ourselves. We are reaffirming our faith in the rule of law. We are reaffirming the faith in the judicial process, in the legal process. We are reaffirming, most importantly, the faith of the common man in the legal system. There is always a challenge posed whether we are doing the right thing by the common man, whether we are able to deliver the constitutional promise of equal and fair justice. Are we able to provide access to justice and, as Mr. Subramanium said, quality justice? When we talk of equality of arms, it's not merely providing a lawyer to an indigent litigant, but providing a lawyer who can match the skills of the opponent. That is the kind of lawyer we're looking for. And that is the kind of lawyer we have found in every one of the 22 districts which have got represented here by very able young lawyers who've exemplified the best in their district. I was particularly delighted to note that among the busiest of the districts, whether it was Khurda or Ganjam or Mayurbhanj or Sundargarh, we've had women lawyers beat out everyone else in the competition and come forth emerging as the winners. So this is another occasion for us to give an extra big hand to each of those women lawyers who've emerged as among the best among their peers. When we thought of this whole award, there were, of course, many doubts that crossed many of our minds. Normally, what happens is anything that we want to try out in the High Court, we first test it with our own officers. Many of them have had vast years of experience as being judicial officers in the districts. So many of the registrars who are working in the High Court and assisting all of us judges day in and day out, they have a hands-on, first-hand knowledge of what the district bar is all about. And although, as Mr. Ratha was mentioning and the Advocate General was mentioning, I did visit the districts, I did interact with the bar, I am not sure how this will be received at the bar. So my first point of testing anything new is with my own officers who've served in the districts, who've been judges in the district, who watched district lawyers in action. And I got a positive response from them. I've got inputs from them. That is how you'll find that the scheme itself is quite complex. A lawyer has to not only be a busy lawyer, which means the lawyer files a large number of cases, but the lawyer has to have at least one trial completed. This was a very important benchmark for us. This is because one wants to encourage lawyers to be adversarial lawyers in the system, standing by the side of truth and helping judges reach the right conclusion. Clients are looking not for lawyers just to get them a bail or an adjournment or an interim bail or a parole or extensions or stay in a civil case. They're looking for conclusion of the dispute. There cannot be a conclusion of the dispute unless the lawyer participates fully and reaches the case to its destination. It's so important for the case to reach its destination. We were looking for lawyers who have that degree of commitment. We're not looking for lawyers who are simply bail lawyers. There are lawyers who specialize in bail. They'll say these are good bail lawyers. These are good adjournment lawyers. These are good interim injunction lawyers. We're looking for lawyers who are full-fledged lawyers who believe that taking the clients to the destination is what they're here in the profession for. Unanimously, I think I heard each of my colleagues in the committee say today that next year's competition is going to be a stiffer competition. And that's how it should be. We want the district lawyers to vie with each other to say, yes, we will conduct trials. We will make sure that nobody who is to reach the goal of justice is deprived of it. When we say access to justice, we mean access to justice not just to people who are brought into the system as accused or suspects or as plaintiffs, but those who are brought in as victims, as witnesses, as defendants, as interveners. We want all of them to get justice. We want closure for everyone. It is only lawyers with a great deal of dedication, a great deal of commitment that can ensure that this happens across Orissa. Also, our hope is that we focused on this age group of 30 to 40. Then we have a hope that this will trigger off a movement across the judiciary in Orissa, where more and more lawyers look up to lawyers like the ones who've received the awards today as their role models and try and emulate them. I must say this entire process has been as democratic as it should be. This is for the larger audience. I'm addressing the larger audience who's participating in the event online by watching it on a link. This was a truly democratic process. We had a draft scheme. We circulated that scheme to every district bar association and not just the main headquarters, but also to the outlying stations. We gave them time to comment on the scheme. We got their inputs. We incorporated many of those inputs, which were very constructive, into the scheme. And that's how a final scheme came up. And it got launched about a month or two ago. And we gave sufficient time to lawyers to send in their entries. So this has been a truly democratic process. But I can vouch for this, that as a High Court, we're not rigid about this scheme having only these many features. If there are any more constructive suggestions, one suggestion came from Mr. Subramanium himself about the use of technology, about the use of e-filing techniques. Now you have an e-filing station in every district court. Maybe we should think of incorporating another element in our scheme about lawyers who use these systems and do e-filing of cases, whether we should encourage that through this kind of a scheme. But ultimately, we want lawyers who show a great deal of commitment to the legal profession itself. These lawyers have overcome several challenges. Challenges not just about being in society and choosing law as a legal profession, because it's a struggle for many a young lawyer to find their feet in the legal profession. It has always been a struggle over the ages. It is even a struggle today. There are a lot of temptations across lawyers, temptations to use unethical means. You do see other colleagues resorting to unethical means, but you decide, no, this is not what I will do, this is what I will do. Therefore, that very important element in the scheme that we want lawyers of integrity. Because unless we get lawyers of integrity, we cannot expect judges of integrity, because these are lawyers who hopefully, as Justice Mohanty said, hopefully will become, some of them will become judges, judges in the district courts, and later maybe judges in the high court. We want to encourage that kind of a lawyer who will stand by principles, who will have ethical practices, and will stand as a model for other young lawyers to follow. What is special about this award is the selection process itself. The jury in each district consisted of the district judge, now doubtless, and the chief judicial magistrate, but also the president of the Bar Association and 2 senior lawyers nominated by the district judge to be on the panel. So this was an evaluation by a combination of the judiciary and the legal profession, which is unique in itself, and it somewhat replicates the kind of committees we have for designation of senior advocates. In fact, this scheme was thought out only because we didn't have anything parallel to what we have in the high courts when we designate senior advocates, basically recognizing them for their potential and their contribution to the development of law. There was no reason why we should not have another system recognizing the potential among district court lawyers who also work tirelessly day and night, as Mr. Subramanium said, to the development of law, to contributing to the cause of justice. And taking a cue from a system we have in the High Court, the Harcharan Mukherjee Memorial Trust, which honors young lawyers of the High Court in the age group of 30 to 40 for their contribution to the development of law, we also decided that in the district courts, we'll focus on the younger generation of lawyers between the age group of 30 to 40. 30 because you would have attained a certain degree of maturity, you would have been in the profession for at least 5 to 6 years, and you would be in a position to conduct trials on your own. That is why we chose 30 and the upper limit of 40, because this is the peak period between 30 and 40 when the lawyer is in full stride. I'm very happy to know about the results. We didn't expect this kind of a response from districts. Next year, I'm sure there'll be an even greater response. We'll have an even brighter crop, hopefully, of lawyers. These 22 lawyers have shown the way, and it's a very important day in the epoch of Odisha's judicial history, that we have lawyers who've emerged as exemplars of the best practices in the district courts and who will be the torchbearers of the best practices for lawyers in the districts. They will be the role models, they will be the inspiration. And when we look back at this day, we will say that a very important moment occurred in the Odisha judicial history when we honored district court lawyers to showcase the best practices and for other generations of lawyers to emulate. This is indeed a very happy day. I want to thank not only my colleagues in the committee, but all my colleagues of the High Court, but very importantly, my officers in the registry. In particular, I want to thank Soumyak Patra, who's worked very tirelessly to coordinate all the efforts with the committee, with the districts, with the lawyers in making this moment possible. I want to thank Shri Raviratha for helping us design that memento. I'm sure Justice Mahapatra will include all of that in his vote of thanks. But, all these smaller details about what should go into the memento, what kind of books should we give the lawyers, what kind of honor, how do we honor the lawyers? All of that, a lot of thought has gone into all of this. But this is indeed a very satisfying and very happy moment for not just me and my colleagues in the committee, but every one of my colleagues in the High Court and every one of the district judges. I'm confident every one of the registry officers, and more particularly, every lawyer in the state of Orissa. It's a great day. And I want to end with hearty congratulations again to each of the 22 lawyers who've emerged as the best lawyers in their districts. Vande Utkala Janani, Jai Hind.
Thank you, Your Lordship, for your kind words of encouragement for the promising lawyers and for your insightful words of wisdom on the importance of role of lawyers in the access to justice. May I now humbly request Honorable Shri Justice Krishnaram Mahapatra, Judge, High Court of Orissa, and Member, Committee for the Promising Lawyer of the Year Award, to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
Namaskar and a very good evening to you all. Honorable the Chief Justice Dr. S. Muralidhar, my sister and brother judges off and on the dais, our keynote speaker, Mr. Gopal Subramanium, Senior Advocate and former Solicitor General, Mr. Ashok Parija, learned Senior Advocate and Advocate General of Odisha, Mr. Nirmal Kishore Rath, President, Federation of Bar Associations of Odisha, my office bearers of High Court Bar Association and members of office bearers of High Court Bar Association and all other bar associations who have joined us in this August meeting function. My dignitaries off and on the desk, participants, guests. It is a privileged occasion on my part to address you the vote of thanks. First of all, I welcome you all and my good wishes for the 75th Foundation Day of the High Court of Odisha. The Thanksgiving, the vote of thanks is not a mere formality. It is an recognition. It is a recognition to all the contributors of success of this function and appreciate their contribution. I must say that the function today is successful because of our leadership, of the leadership of our Honorable the Chief Justice, Dr. S. Muralidhar. He is our torchbearer, he is our philosopher, he is our guide, and he has conceptualized this idea to confer award to the promising lawyers of Odisha. And he has meticulously got it through, which has seen the light today. I must congratulate all the participants as well as awardees of this award, this competition and this award. It is because of Justice Muralidhar, the Chief Justice of High Court of Odisha. The judiciary of Odisha has seen a sea change in just more than 1.5 years. There is reformation in all spheres of judiciary in Odisha. We all are thankful to him because of his insightful thinking and because of his guardianship and his leadership to see a change in the judiciary of Odisha. Sir, we are thankful to you. I am thankful to my sister and brother judges who have participated in this function, and their presence in this function has added glory to this function. I must convey my thanks to our beloved chairman of the committee, Justice Mohanty, who has tolerated me throughout. My immature suggestions and my irrelevant talks, he has tolerated with his, as usual, calm and composed manner, and at last he gives his opinion considering all the opinions of the members very meticulously. He is a meticulous man. I thank, on behalf of the High Committee, I thank him. What can I say about my younger brother, Justice Misra? I have no words. Even I have disturbed him while he was dictating a judgment, but he has never hesitated. He immediately accepted that and participated in the decision-making process. I am very much thankful to him also. We are certainly grateful and we are certainly privileged to have Mr. Gopal Subramaniam, learned senior advocate, esteemed senior advocate, and former Solicitor General amongst us. He immediately accepted our invitation, participated in the function, gave his insightful thoughts, and encouraged the young advocates. Why I say young advocates? We are also encouraged and enlightened with his erudite speech. We are certainly, you are really thankful to him for his gracious presence, although through virtual mode. We are really thankful to our beloved Advocate General who has given the history of Odisha High Court, and he has shared his thoughts with us in this, which will certainly encourage the young advocates to build up their career. We are really thankful to you, sir. We are also thankful to Mr. Ratha, the President of Federation of Bar Association of Odisha, for his participation, presence, participation, and insightful speech he has given. We are thankful to you, sir. I am really thankful to our registry, being ably led by our Registrar General, Mr. Chittaranjan Das. Our Chief Justice has made my job little bit easier by giving thanks to Mr. Somyak Patra, to whom I want to give a special thanks. Because off the screen, he has toiled hard, relentlessly, tirelessly to see the function, to see the success of this function. I am really thankful to you, Mr. Patra. I am really thankful to the participant bar associations, office bearers of the bar associations who have joined virtually as well as physically. For their presence, this august occasion has become more cheerful and graceful. I am also thankful to Mr. Ravi Rath, who has designed the memento for us. He is a pro bono. He has done it pro bono. Every time we requested him, he has extended his helping hand to our cause. I am also thankful to the judicial officers. I am also thankful to the district judges and jury members who have timely responded us, and for whom the success of for whom the function has become successful. I am also thankful to the judicial officers who are participating in the proceeding, in the function. I am also thankful to the Director of Orissa Judicial Academy, who has shared this beautiful auditorium to us, and his staff who has helped us to see the success of this function. Last but not the least, we must thank the participants and the awardees of the Promising Lawyer of the Award 2022, for whom we feel proud. We are really thankful to you, sirs, madams and sirs. We are really thankful to the print and electronic media, who has always taken the pen to share our message, and to the every nook and corner of Odisha. And we hope that the message of this function will also reach the nook and corner of Odisha. Why Odisha? To every corner of India also. So we are really thankful to you all. We are really thankful to the dignitaries, participants, and guests who have added glory to this function. Thank you all. Bande Utkal Janani.
Thank you, Your Lordship. I seek the permission of the esteemed chair so as to declare this event as closed. The event is declared closed. I request all the honorable judges, the distinguished dignitaries, and the esteemed awardees to kindly proceed to the portico first for a group photograph and then join us for high tea. Thank you. Namaskar.